This video covers assignment 18.6. We're going to work 5 problems together, and then you're going to work on the rest on your own. So first problem we're going to work is problem 4. The graph of a linear function is shown on the grid. Which equation is best represented by this graph? So when I look at my answer choices, the first thing I notice is that this graph has a negative slope. As we read from left to right, the graph is going down. It is decreasing. So slope-wise, A and B are okay, but C and D do not have a correct slope. There's no way it could be a positive. So without even knowing the number of my slope, I know it cannot be these. Now, between A and B, the only difference is the points. Remember, your points are always listed backwards with opposite signs. So this would be the point 4, -7, and B would be the point -2, -1. It's always the number with X is your X number, but the opposite sign. The number with Y is your Y number, but with the opposite sign. So 4, -7 is a point on this graph. -2, -1 is not a point on this graph. So A would be my correct answer. Next, we're going to go to number 12. This is another factoring one. We've done a couple of these this week. Which expression is a factor of 21x squared plus 13x minus 20? Again, this one is kind of tricky because you have to factor. You can't work backwards because they don't give you both sets of factors. So you have to use your box and your GPS. So my GCF is none. My sum is in the center, so 13x. My product is the two outsides. 21 times -20 is -420. So I put my product, -420 divided by x, put product into y equals. I go to the table and search for the sum. I am looking for two numbers that will add to a positive 13. So these are really big numbers, decimals. 10 minus 42 would be -32. I'm getting closer to 13. 12 minus 35, no. Decimals. This would be -16, so I'm getting a lot closer. Okay, now this one, 15 minus 28, would give me a -13. So what if I switched the order? -15 and +28 would give me a +13. So I'm going to use -15 and +28. And then first term and last term, okay? So again, -15 and +28 would add to 13. -15 times 28 would multiply to that -420. So now I'm taking out my GCFs. 21 and 28 share a 7 and an X. 15 and 20 share a 5, and it's going to be negative because the number on the outside is negative. And that is one of my factors, which is answer choice B. Just to finish this off, these two will share a 3 and an X, and these two will share a +4, not to be confused with answer choice A, which is a -4. So remember, those signs follow from the outside box. On this same page, we're going to look at number 14. A paper airplane was thrown from the top of a tall building. The height of the paper airplane above the ground can be found by this function, where x is the time in seconds that the airplane has been in the air. How many seconds does it take the paper airplane to reach the ground? So if x is the time that has elapsed, they are asking me, where is this going to equal 0? So I have a couple options. The fastest one is the calculator. I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to type this into my calculator just like I see it, -1.5x plus 60. Then I'm going to go to the table, and I am searching for where my y value, the height, equals 0, because it says how many seconds will it take for it to reach the ground. So that is where your height equals 0, and your height is a y value. So on this table, I'm going to scroll until I get to 0 on the y's. And there we go. My time would be 40 seconds. So at 40 seconds, it will reach the ground. So this one's not super scary as long as you can understand what the problem is really asking you for. Next, we're going to scroll to 22. So page 8. Nope, right there. So number 22, everybody's favorite with exponents, which expression is equivalent to all of that for all values of q and w where the expression is defined. So the first thing I'm going to do is deal with my big numbers, okay? Big numbers, I have 10, 4, and 2. So 10 and 4 on the top, 2 on the bottom. I'm going to plug that into my calculator. And we get 20. So my big number needs to be 20. And I get that on B and on D. So just by knowing the big numbers, I've knocked out a couple answer choices. Now, when I look at B and D, they both have different numbers for Q and for W, so I just need to work out one of these letters and see which one's correct. When I look at my Q's, I have Q's on the top and Q's on the top. When I look at my W's, I have them on the top, the bottom, and the bottom. So I'm actually going to go for the Q's because there's less of them. For the Q's, I have 5 on the top and then 6 with a 2 on the top as well. So I'm going to keep them all on the same level. This means multiply. So 6 and 2 ends up being 12. Remember, they are piggybacked on top of each other, so I multiply. Then, because there's a space in between these, I add. So 5 and 12 will get me to 17 Q's. So B is going to be my correct answer. And then the last one we're going to go over is number 24. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the point 2, -2, and is perpendicular to the line represented by this one? So first, remember perpendicular means you take your slope and you flop it. So we make it the complete opposite. 2 fifths flips to 5 halves, and positive turns into negative. That means I can knock out A and B because they don't have the correct slopes. From here, I have two options. I can plug these C and D into y equals and see which one has that correct point, or plug that point into point slope, which is what I'm going to do. So y opposite sign y point equals my flopped slope, x opposite sign x point. So I'm going to solve for y, so I distribute. And then move the 2. So D is going to be my answer. Again, if you wanted to use the table, you could type these 2 in. So I'll just show you with the correct answer. If I go to the table, I am looking for the point 2, -2. So when I go to the x value of 2, my y value is -2.